Alright, so what do you want to discuss? Uh, Destiny first?
Yeah, we can talk about Destiny first.
Alright,
It was the
so,
first game to come out, so.
right, okay, so Destiny, what, came out 2013?
Yes.
Yeah, so it came out 2013, and it was on a major hype train, right? Like, everybody,
Major hype train.
everybody wanted it, everybody liked the beta. It was, I think, wasn't it right after Bungie stopped doing Halo and 343 Studios took over, and then Bungie kind of did their own thing. So
Yeah, there was that whole drama about it.
yeah, that
So,
was right. There was because a lot of people said that Bungie stopped like halfway through doing Halo, and people were pissed off, and then they were like, "Well, we got our own thing kind of going on," and they apparently they had Bungie in the works while they were doing Halo at the same time. So, from my understanding, Bungie was already ready to like move on after Halo 4, I think is when they wanted to move on.
yeah, I think so, because the latest Halo is Halo 5, right?
Yeah, and I think Reach was 343 Studios, ODST was 343 Studios, and Halo 4 was 343 Studios. So really Bungie's last Halo was like Halo 3 if you take it back that far. I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't looked in a while. Alright, so what we get Destiny. Um, the beta was really nice. Everybody kind of liked it. Then the game pops out. What was your first like? How did you feel when you first actually played the real game instead of just like a beta or something?
I mean, I thought it was cool. I mean, I thought it was worth my money whenever I first played it. It wasn't too different from when the beta came out. And I don't know, I really liked it a lot. I thought it was, worth all the hype at
Right,
first, you know.
right. So I think I was like the same way. I had the beta. I really liked it in the beta, even though they exposed you to a little bit, but not too much. Then when the game came out, you were able to get everything that was kind of involved with it. But then I guess we started to see a couple issues within like what the first couple of months with
Oh yeah,
Destiny. There was what you
yeah,
had connection issues. You had um, I just the loot system was terrible, and
yeah,
just it was just like overall it was like you guys produced like such a good thing, but then it's like what happened?
yeah. There were so many things missing, like the whole clan thing. Like you had to go online and do it from a website, and
Yeah,
you know
it
that
made
was pretty dumb.
it made what the social aspect a little difficult for people to get involved with. So to me, it wasn't really social unless like you knew people who was getting the game. And then this game was really like under the radar when it first came out. Like it had like a couple of hypeness to it, but like nobody really caught on to it at first.
Yeah, yeah,
But
man. I just kind of snuck up on a lot of people, but I mean, the whole social thing is what is probably, I guess, the people or the community, I guess you would say, is what helped it out a lot because a lot of people, came up with their own ways of getting people together, with their websites and,
right,
and things like that. And that's probably what kind of, I guess, not saved the game, but helped the game out a lot because people started talking about it a lot more. Like,
right.
oh, you guys should come check out Destiny and, things like
And I
that.
think what also helped is like YouTubers, like a lot of YouTubers now, if it Destiny kind of like started them out, and they, a lot of them maybe they played like other games before, but some of the YouTubers that I follow, like I don't know, like Dado and Mr. Fruit and some people like that. Like a lot of their careers, theirs kind of like picked up. I've noticed after playing like Destiny and exposing Destiny to like a lot of people, because like we agree, like Destiny kind of flew in a little bit. I think you had a Call of Duty that came out that year.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think it was like maybe what was it, Black Ops 3? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it
I can't
was
remember.
3 or 2. I'm not
Three
too
or two
sure.
was one of them. Or was it
Yeah.
Advanced Warfare? It was something. It was a Call of Duty that came out. So of course that got the hype train, but we'll discuss Call of Duty and stuff later.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we get Destiny. It was pretty cool for the beginning. Then we ran into like a ton of errors where a lot of weapons were overpowered.
Bravo team.
More guardians were overpowered than others. I don't think the
Prove
levels
you are worthy of the iron.
affected it, but the weapons as a whole affected how you played. Like for example, the Thorn, which they're bringing back. So you can only imagine how people are reacting to that.
Gains the lead.
Yeah. I mean, at first, the game was so unbalanced, especially with the raid didn't even come out at first, right? That wasn't released until
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah.
So that was
Lost
pretty,
the lead.
yeah.
And that's and I
Wow.
think that kind of made a lot of people upset too, because we were promised like a raid. Like there was so much that Destiny was saying, like, oh, there's gonna be a raid, there's gonna be PvP, there's a huge storyline that's involved with the game. And like some people like myself or whatever, you put in enough hours, you can get that story done very quickly. And to me,
Yeah.
the story lacked a lot. It didn't have enough like flavor to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot missing from the stories. I mean, the only way you could really truly get the whole story was if you read the grimoires that you would pick up,
Right.
and that would explain a lot of the missing pieces. But I mean, who's really gonna do that? I know there's a few people that will take the time and,
Yeah.
check it out. But I mean, the majority of people just want to play and see the story. They don't want
Right.
to read about it.
Right. And
Yeah.
it was, and the other thing was you got through the story mode when you collected like the ghost and stuff like that, like that brought a little bit to it, or when you fought like new enemies or whatever, that gave it a little bit. But if you didn't collect like certain weapons and stuff when the Vanguard when you got that bounty and stuff, you kind of missed out on a lot of basic lore and stuff. Like you didn't know stuff, which
Yeah. I mean,
which hindered stuff.
yeah, and that's where, all the bits and pieces, on their part, it's kind of messed up because, I mean, people are missing out when they don't even know what they're missing.
Right. All right. So let's talk about, I guess, year one weapons. Out of in your opinion, which were like the top year one weapons that people really sought out for, that were kind of necessarily important, my bad, for I guess good gameplay, like the Crucible or something.
Yeah, to me, like so far, year one was the best thing about Destiny, to me.
Right.
And a lot of the weapons also were some of the best weapons that they had, like the ones that you would get from the raid. I think mostly everybody that had those raid weapons, that's pretty much all you needed.
Right, and I think the most important one was Fatebringer and what was it? Vex Mythoclast was probably like the two most important ones. The shotgun was pretty good, but there were other shotguns that you could have throughout the game that you felt like were better in a way.
I mean,
Yeah.
the one from the raid. Do you remember?
Which one?
The raid scout rifle.
Oh, that
man.
was Invective.
No, it wasn't the Invective.
No, it wasn't
That's the
Invective. It
shotgun.
was crap. I know what you're talking about too. Oh, I think I still have mine. I'll check it out later, but I know what you're talking about. That was a really good scout rifle, though. Shoot. Okay. Alright, so what were your first takes on Vault of Glass when it was finally released and we were able to go in and take part in this raid that we heard so much about? Oh,
Heavy ammo available.
damn. Oh, snaps.
My bad, man. My controller died.
Sorry.
That's always inconvenient. But yeah, man. You know what? The raid. I think up to this day, I still think the Atheon raid is pretty good. Like one of the best raids that they have. And then would come the Oryx one, and then Crota.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like. I mean, of course, when the raid first came out, I mean, it wasn't the perfect raid because I mean, I had a bunch of glitches. You know, like the infamous Atheon push off and
Yeah.
Staying up on top on the, or no, actually the push offs pretty much was the main thing because you can even push off the Minotaur, right? No, which one was it? That one boss that you could push off, like the second boss
Oh yeah, I
of the
know what
raid?
you're talking about. Yeah. I forgot
Yeah,
his
you could
name,
push
but
him off, too.
you could push him off.
Yeah.
For me the issues was some of the when you went to go into the lair and you had to avoid the what were they called? The Gorgons or whatever. That was an issue for me because sometimes they'd see you even though they couldn't see you in a way, if that made sense.
More efforts like
Like,
that,
they
and we might just win.
somehow, if you even poked out a little bit, they saw you. And, you wiped and everything. That part to me was a little frustrating. And then they fixed it, which was good, but in the end, it's like, when you first started, getting caught like that easily was irritating a lot. And it was like, this part was a hassle, and then you had to learn how to navigate through them. And then if you got some people who like to joke around, you're gonna get caught like every time.
Yeah, that was a pretty big issue. But I mean, I guess after the fix, and once you figured out how to navigate your way,
Yeah.
it wasn't too bad. Actually, I think that was the easier part. Later on, of course, after all the fixes.
Right.
Because I mean, once you figured it out, you can just pretty much run through everything, and it wasn't bad.
Right. So, alright, so we got Vault of Glass. They came out, and then, over the years we were exposed to Iron Banner, which to this day a lot of people still enjoy. Then, we had, I want to say, you finished the story, and then next thing you know, the stranger, she gives you the rifle, and then, that's it. You'll never see this chick again. And, a lot of people are still like, what was her significance of the story? Who was she talking to when you met her after that Venus mission where, she said, this might be the Guardian or whatever, and you're like, who were you talking to? And we never know. And to this day, we still don't know who she's talking to or where she went. She just gives you the gun and then she disappears off of the deck. And you're like, alright, cool, great. Now what?
Yeah, man, that's where Bungie, they should have stepped in and addressed that at least in one. But I mean, like I said, the story messed up from the beginning, and it sucks. People pay for this, and the story.
Yeah.
gameplay and everything, and you don't get it. And that's what that a lot of people are upset about because it's money, even to this day, and you don't get that. I guess how would you call it? That fulfillment or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, getting the game that you paid for, and it
right.
sucks.
It does.
You know, 3 years later, they still can't figure it out.
Yeah, but but you can see that they're trying though. That's the good thing. They're trying.
Yeah.
All right, so year one, I guess the first year or so, people would say Destiny was still successful even though they had their issues. Then they dropped what was it? Rhoda's End or something like that. Was that the DLC?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay,
Dark Below.
so yeah, the Dark Below.
Dark Below.
All right, so they released the
Mhm.
Dark Below. We're exposed to a new character. Her name is
Bravo team.
apparently she is kind of like an old school guardian. She has been around the yard a little bit, if you want to say. She's the only one out of her fire team to survive, Crota and his wrath. So, you come in, you do a couple missions with her, and then you're exposed to Crota's End. So what was your take with Crota's End coming out in that raid and everything that went along with that one?
Yeah. I guess it wasn't their best work. Like to me, like it was the raid. I mean, the raid just I don't know. It really didn't do it for me. I mean, the whole running through the darkness and
Right.
trying to find your way, and I mean, to me that wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't fun. You know.
Okay.
And
You-
everything after that was okay. Everything after that was
Lost
alright.
the lead.
all right, so I think that's kind of when I joined in on the clan aspect. So that's kind of when I came around.
You're in the
Mhm.
lead.
That to me, that raid in particular, you needed people who kind of knew you as a whole. Oh, this guy's cheating. Because that raid required an extensive amount of teamwork. Vault of Glass,
Mhm.
Vault of Glass, you kind of needed it. You just needed communication more than teamwork. But in Crota's
Yeah.
End, you really needed to orchestrate like teamwork and communication, because if you didn't, you basically wiped. It lacked a lot. I did not like the beginning. The beginning was, to me, it led up to like just a bad scenario. I mean, you gotta fight through all the thrall and knights that are there. If you didn't get the lantern, you were on or whatever.
Mhm.
To me, that part, it was kind of like, guys could have did a little bit more with this part rather than, what you got, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was pretty skimpy, I guess you could say it.
Right. It was kind of quick too. That raid was a little quick.
That's one of the raids that we have.
Yeah.
So,
Alright,
there's a
so
lot of potential.
yeah, definitely. Alright, so within this raid, Crota, of course, which we now know is like the son of Oryx and everything, but at the time, we knew nothing about him. His fight scene was interesting. When you had to fight Crota at the end, it was a little challenging at first, but there was one weapon that if you had it, freaking matter. You just needed a good sword and a Gallum. And they could demolish that raid every single time. So,
Oh yeah, and the Gallahorn was the key to everything, dude. The Gallahorn was the #1 OP weapon of the game.
it was, and believe it or not, first sold it like week 2 of like when
Mhm.
Destiny first came out. He sold it and nobody picked it up. And actually, it was Vault of Glass where a lot of people was getting theirs. At the end, after they killed Atheon, you know, it dropped for people. And people were like, you know, what is this? And those Wolfpack rounds made that, but it, you know, probably the most OP thing in the world.
Yeah, and you know what? That's one of the things about the glitch too. When people were pushing off Atheon, um, a lot of people got it like that. A lot of people got the Gallahorn that way, and that's when a lot of people started catching on that, hey, this gun is,
Right.
you know, pretty OP. Let's try to get as many people through it.
And the crazy thing was, you remember back in the day, like if you try to join like a if you didn't have a Gallahorn, they didn't take you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they did not take you, and I think Bungie didn't like that. Like they were really against the whole aspect of, you know, if you don't have this certain weapon, you shouldn't be able to join this group. And you could finish a raid without the Gallahorn, but you needed it at some point in time. Recommend it.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of because I know I didn't have the Gallahorn at first. I was one of the unlucky ones that took forever to get it. But the good thing was, during that time, I had a pretty good time, you know, that I was part of. And,
Right.
you know, they always helped me through aid and whatever else, you know, because you really don't need it. It's just a matter of, you know, skill and teamwork, and you can get through it pretty easily.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so you know,
And,
I think I don't think people really liked the Dark Below at all. That's how I community was about it. It's, you know, like you said earlier, it didn't give what we were looking for. I mean, yeah, it was cool. We got to know a little bit more about the hive or whatever, but at the end of the day, what they added like 3 more little missions and then a strike or 2 and then the raid.
yeah, and then the other bad thing about it too was the whole like weapon system upgrade. Like
Oh
you had to,
yeah.
yeah, you had to add I forget what it was, but in order to use your weapons from year one, you had to upgrade them to the current stats of it, and a lot of people didn't like that because it's like, what the hell, you know? I did a lot to get this weapon, and now you're gonna make me work for it even more.
Right.
Like,
This is when they the number system that we have now.
yeah,
Where you had to almost, I wouldn't say infuse, but you had to I guess combine weapons using certain materials or whatever, and then you know they would bring up to like a certain light to a level, and based off of that light level is how much damage you did. So now like these Wolfpack rounds, if it was on a Gallahorn, if it wasn't at the top of the light level, they did damage, but they didn't do enough.
yeah,
And then this
Yep.
is when everybody was grinding out, you know, Crucible and strikes to get the top-notch gear and stuff.
hmm
Most of the exotics that came out with Dark Below, like the Black Splendor was not an exotic. I keep thinking of the black.
The current one.
Yeah, the current one.
generation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was Black Hammer
the Black
back in the
Hammer.
day. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Black Hammer back in the day. But I think one of the best exotics that they did was the freaking Icebreaker.
Yeah, the Icebreaker, man, was clutch. Even for the raid, I mean, if you had the Icebreaker, you could easily, you know, glitch the bridge with the sword.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that one always came in clutch for anything really, even for a Crucible.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Oh yeah. And you know, it didn't take long for the ammo to, you know, recharge itself. I think it was like maybe what was it? 5-6 seconds per round or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
you know when you cheese the part with the bridge and the sword bearer, you know you always had that one guy go across, you hit, and then everybody else pulled the icebreakers out, and you just sat there and sniped away, and you killed everybody off.
Yeah, man. Pretty much. That was it. It was a done deal with the icebreaker. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
after that, it was all
it was
cake.
it was a cake wrap. All right, so with with Rise of Iron coming out, since you know we'll get back to House of Wolves in a second because a lot of House of Wolves content will still be pretty much valued with this. So,
Yeah, somewhat relevant. Yeah, I could
yeah.
see that.
All right, so Rise of Iron. A lot of people are iffy about getting this. Why do you think that is?
It's because, Bungie's already let a lot of people down, man. I mean, it's not the game, a lot of people expected. It's not the game that it was supposed to be. I mean, there's so much potential with Destiny, man. And just to have it the way it is right now, I mean, it's disappointing. It really is disappointing. Especially after all the money that everybody has put into it. You know, you would think they would listen a lot more to the community
Right.
than instead of just doing their own thing. Like I am kind of hopeful for it because since recently they announced they are going to be adding private matches to Crucible. They're going to be adding clan, like in-game clan management and
Right.
a bunch of other things I'm sure they're going to add. But it's like, why did it take so long?
Yeah.
Like, will this be enough to really make it worth it to drop another, 30, $40 for this game that I've already spent like over $100 on it, you
Right.
know?
Well, I will say I'm one of the ones who I am getting Rise of
Lion
Iron.
Banner Clash.
Um,
Alpha Team.
because after watching a lot of the Destiny podcasts that they do, and doing some research, I feel like even though there's still gonna be probably a ton of issues, which in any game there will be a ton of issues, but we all know Destiny has a good nag for producing more than what's needed for issues. I think that the content and everything that's going to come with it, it's going to be okay, to where it's gonna make people be like, all right, I'm giving you another shot. Let's see what you got. From what I'm seeing, a whole bunch of weapons are coming, you know, are being reintroduced to the game. Year one weapons are coming back, like Thorn and a couple of other ones. Now, is Thorn going to be as potent as it was in year one? Probably not, because that burn was pretty ridiculous. You got shot and it stacked up, God knows how many times, but a headshot and a body shot and the person was dead. Of course,
Yep.
the Galahorn is back, which we all know. What? So you're kind of hopeful, but you know that the Wolfpack rounds aren't going to be as demolishing as they once were. Um, and you just, it's alright. But nonetheless, there is a new raid that is coming with this. I don't know a lot about it. It's supposed to be good, but there's new exotics that are coming out. There's new customization, which is pretty nice. I like how Bungie is allowing you to customize not only your weapon, but your character with the not just the shaders, but with a whole bunch of other stuff they're now bringing to the table.
Yeah. And you know what? The thing about that customization thing, like, I mean, to me, it's not a good customization system. Like the way that we have it now with the whole, the glowy customizing or whatever.
The lights
I
or
mean,
whatever, yeah.
to me, like that was horrible, dude. Like that's bad. And then even then, like, you can only have that certain one on that certain piece, and it drops randomly.
Yeah.
Like why can't you just give us the option to change it on that one piece of armor? Like
Right.
what
And
is
it
what is
costs
so
you-
hard about that?
It cost you Glimmer to get the color that you really wanted.
Yeah.
Because you had to buy out whatever the other one was, and then if you had to keep going until you wanted a color that you wanted. But of course, Glimmer's not an issue in Destiny. It's just like, I gotta pay for it. It's like, that's kind of annoying. So
Yeah, because I mean, most other games, dude. I mean, you could customize, anything. Like as long as you have it collected already,
yeah,
like you can always use it, no matter what. You can use that piece of clothing, piece of color, whatever, as long as you have
right.
it collected. Like, and it's not like in Destiny where, oh, you have that piece, you can only use that piece. If you want to use something else, you gotta
Yeah, you
collect
got
that one
the
too.
yeah. I mean, that
And
goes
that's
into the thing with the Taken. Like we haven't even touched that yet, but the Taken emote, you had to have all the Taken pieces on your character in order to get that emote. Or, you cop out a whole, you pay for the silver and you got it that way. But, yeah, we haven't even touched microtransactions yet in Destiny either. That's another big one.
yeah. I mean, dude, that's the other thing, like I said, you're dropping so much money into this game, and it's
Yeah,
like, is it even worth it? Like we just, like a lot of people are just throwing money at Destiny and just saying,
here you
just
go.
take my money for nothing,
Right, right.
you know?
Yeah. Well, I think the microtransaction thing is due to Activision. Because, Activision is always big on microtransactions. As we all know, Activision is definitely heavily involved in Duty. And in Call of Duty, they, you bought DLCs, you bought guns, you bought this, you bought that. Like, you bought so much stuff from Call of Duty that I think a lot of people were upset that transitioned into Destiny. That we had all
Yeah.
these microtransactions, and it's like, for what? Like, this isn't Call of Duty. This is something completely different. But yet,
Yeah, exactly.
we the feel of COD. Like, to me, when they introduced microtransactions and everything, as we got closer to the Taken King, it became COD based. It became a Call of Duty based game, and not a lot of people liked it. Like, I think that part kind of like pushed people off.
Yeah, I mean, big time, because it's like, this is the game that was supposed to be different, this is the game that was supposed to, break the mold
Yeah,
and, stand out and be its own, and to this day, it hasn't really lived up to it, like 3 years later, and it's still just another game,
right.
and it sucks because, I liked it, I did like it at first, I liked it a lot,
Yeah,
and I wish it was better because I mean I just have it sitting there on my shelf and that's it.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Bam who's already traded it in for a controller. He's used some of that to pre-order for Battlefield, and it's like people don't want it no more. Which I think Bam is kind of like BS. I think he kept it, and he's waiting to see what we all have to say about it, and that'll dictate whether or not he'll go get it.
Yeah, I know he will. He'll go get it. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is just one of those games where it's like an abusive relationship, and
It is, man.
Destiny says it's gonna change, and it never does.
Right.
But we still come back.
I'm telling you, man, it was because of those couple of Iron Banner matches that I think have turned him off. Alright, so before we end the discussion with Destiny, we'll leave off with the Taken King, since that's kind of what we have now. Um, Rise of Iron, they've only exposed so much information, so we can't really discuss it all. We can only go by pictures and stuff that we've seen. So far, we've heard everything that we needed to hear. Alright, so Taken King comes out.
Good work, Guardian.
What was your take with the Taken King?
It was good. I guess they were trying to take steps in the right direction as far as, story wise. I mean, they were trying to fix it a little bit. They were introducing more cutscenes,
Right.
more storyline with the queen. And, the thing about that, though, right now is that apparently the queen is dead, but we still don't really know if she's really dead or not. They make it seem like she is, they make it seem like she isn't.
Right.
So that's just another bits and pieces thing that I don't know if they're gonna address it, fix it, or whatever. But gameplay wise, it's been okay. Hasn't been a complete letdown. It's been all right, especially with the raid. The raid it was good. It took a lot of teamwork. It wasn't a small, short raid like Crota. It was a pretty good sized raid. Had a lot of interesting boss mechanics. It was pretty good. It wasn't bad.
Yeah. Definitely for me, the Knight's Fall was, I mean not Knight's Fall, Taken King. It was it was pretty interesting due to the fact that in a raid you had three bosses. Each of them had their own way of defeating them. You couldn't take one strategy for one boss and try to defeat another one with that same strategy. It required you to have different weapons at each stage. It required you to have a different subclass. I mean, you know, we didn't even discuss the fact that all the Guardians got a new subclass. With the Stormcaller, the Hammers of Soul, and then the Night Stalker for the Hunters and stuff. So we didn't even add into all that.
Hmm.
But it's almost you required. It's like you required a hunter to be a Night Stalker. You required a Titan to be a defender, and maybe another Titan to be the hammers, and then you required you know, a Warlock to still have the Sunbreaker, but he could be a Stormcaller. It just, it depended on how you did it.
Yeah. And that was a good thing about it is that you know it made you still not forget about your other subclasses. Like, hey, you're gonna need this sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's good. It's good to have a variety on your team. Things will go a lot smoother that way. And that's where the communication comes in too.
Oh
The
yeah.
whole teamwork aspect of it is it was better. It was better this time around.
Iron
It
Banner
was.
Slash.
Um.
Alpha
So with the Taken King, we had a couple of new exotics, like the Zala Supercell. The Suros regime isn't new, but it got a new pink color. You had you had a lot of good exotics in this one a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
introduced sidearms in this one with the
Hmm.
pistols. What else? What was the other sniper? It was pretty nice. Oh, you had the Telesta, which was
Um,
the fusion rifle. Hereafter, which is
yeah,
the
that one was
sniper.
OP, man. I think that one still to this day is kind of OP.
Yeah, with the blinding effect was really nice, especially in the
Hmm.
PvP world. If you were able to land that blind, you were you were pretty good.
Yeah, and then also this is when they introduced the black
Splendor,
spindle,
yes.
and yeah,
How you had to
and
get it
it
was
was
interesting. How you had to get it was pretty interesting, and it was by accident. Because from my understanding, it was a couple of YouTubers who found out. Bungie wasn't even gonna tell anybody about it, and once that kind of hit the fan, they were like, "Yeah, this is how you get the weapon. Good luck trying to get it."
yeah, man, because that thing was ridiculous. Dude. That one was hard. Like,
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's the most work I've ever put in to get an exotic. Was that one?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
That one was ridiculous. The amount of spamming enemies that would just throw out those orbs, the fallen or
Oh
the
yeah,
taken knights actually. That one was
yes.
ridiculous.
I think the major. I didn't like the time. You had 10 minutes to get through that whole thing and beat the boss in order to get the weapon. And remember, if
Yeah.
you recall, if you didn't do it when it was on the when it first came out and it was on the Strike playlist, it didn't drop at what was the light level at that time? 330 or something like that.
I
I
think it
can't.
was
No, it's
320. I
320.
think that's what it
320.
was.
Yeah. If you didn't do it
Hmm.
that week, it didn't drop at 320. It only dropped at 280 after that. So there was like a mad rush for people to get this at, you know, at 320 because that was able because I think when they brought that out, that's when they introduced the hard mode for the raid, which required you to
Hmm.
be 320. And then I think like maybe a couple weeks after that, they introduced the challenge mode for the raid, which I liked. I liked the challenge mode because it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I remember getting those 320s at first because I remember I was farming it or trying to farm it with whoever I could that
Yeah,
either they didn't have it or they needed help or whatever, and it was good, man. It was a really good gun, and I think it was. I don't remember. I think at first it would still give you the weapon even if you already had it, and then after I think is when they fixed it when they said, "Oh, you can only get one," and that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
So
I remember it was pretty good.
it was the black label from Crota. They just turned it into an exotic. It still had that same perk where 3 consecutive headshots returned ammo back to the magazine, but then they nerfed. And now instead of ammo coming out of thin air, it took it out of um,
Your reserve.
your reserve, and that kind of like that threw a lot of people off. Like I was like, whoa, like come on, like give
Yeah.
us the original freaking weapon where we didn't have to you know have ammo in our reserves because if you didn't have any special and you were using that gun, like once you used it, you were done. Couldn't do nothing.
Yeah. I mean, they should have left it like that because it's like, I mean, it's an exotic. That's
Yeah,
that's
there had
what
to be
it's
something
for.
special about it, or else it wouldn't be an
Yeah,
exotic. And I think
exactly.
that's something that a lot of people have said is year one you really had to discover the
Heavy ammo
exotics.
inbound.
You had to go to you had to rank up your crucible reputation. No, not your crucible. You had to rank up a certain reputation in order for you to
Heavy
get
ammo available.
the quest and stuff for like the thorn and the super good advice and the bad juju. You had to get those reputation up or else you get it.
Yeah.
So with stuff like that, it was wasn't that there wasn't that in Taken King. You really didn't have to grind it out. Pop a 3 of coins on a boss, and you may have gotten your exotic that you've been waiting for, and then you're like, cool, that's it.
Yeah, man, pretty much. I mean, it's just a lot of mistakes and, you know, learning experiences, I guess, on Bungie's part. And it's those little things, man, that just make people hesitant
Yeah,
about, buying the new DLC.
right.
So I don't know, man. I'm really hopeful for Rise of Iron. I might get it, I'm still thinking about it. Just,
You're
if
almost
enough
there.
people in our clan get it, I probably will.
Yeah,
But I mean, we'll see. I guess it's just a matter of time.
yeah, definitely. You know, I've I've always been kind of a fan of Bungie because of Halo. I mean, God bless Halo. Like seriously, bless
Oh yeah.
Halo.
Yeah.
I'm actually considering getting an Xbox so I can continue to play Halo because that was probably like really one of the, as a kid or whatever, you really didn't, you didn't really pay
Victory doesn't win a
to
war.
the
It's a good
magnitude
start.
of
Good work.
a first-person shooter. But then when I got old enough and I was playing Halo, I'm like, yo, this game kicks ass. Like, the story kicks ass, Master Chief, the badass, all that stuff. And, you know, I was like, alright, yo, so, you know, I'm considering getting an Xbox just so I can continue to play Halo. But, alright, so, I think we all know our take on Destiny. And even though, for people who do watch this video after I post it, you know, it'd be interesting for them to maybe leave comments in there and discuss on how they feel about Bungie and Destiny, on where it's going. I mean, Destiny's already put in the works and they've already released a teaser concept art that there's a Destiny 2 coming out.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, did they?
yeah, like, it got leaked.
Okay.
I think one of their artists, he leaked it out, and at one of these major video game events or something like that, he leaked it out. It's just a rough sketch, but it's a giant 2 and like everything's in fire. But if you pay attention to the background, you can see like a Titan with the hammer. You can see, you know, when the Warlock self-reses, the wings come out and stuff like that. You can kind of see that in the background. But there's Destiny 2. Half of the team at Bungie's already working on it, while the other half was doing the Rise of Iron. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess this DLC will be the
make or break.
really the make or break.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So.
I mean, it's getting a lot of hype. It's getting a lot of hype.
Oh yeah, a lot of hype.
A lot of people are coming back to Destiny because they've heard about it and they've seen what's coming to it with the, you know, the new social place, the new weapons, the new missions, the new armor. You know, there's a lot of new stuff in this, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, I'm hopeful for it. You know, I really hope it's really as good as they make it out to be, and you know, I hope it's just not another disappointment, man.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Alright, so we're gonna switch gears to this big discussion on what's coming in October. So unless you lived under a rock, Battlefield 1 is coming in October.
Yep.
And then
Oh yeah.
Call of Duty, what do they call it? I don't even know what they've called this one, but it's basically Modern Warfare
Remastered.
remastered. It's made by the same company, Infinity Games and Activision. But you know, they're both coming out in October. And
yeah, man, it'll be pretty interesting to see you know, who's gonna take the sales on this one, because I mean, me personally, dude, I don't like Call of Duty anymore. I don't, man. I used to be a big fan of it.
Oh yeah.
You know, I had the Modern Warfares, I had the first Black Ops. You know, I played them vigorously.
Yes.
You know, every day. And now it's just, I got Black Ops 3. I had the Advanced Warfare, and I traded them in, bro. That was it.
Oh yeah. No, I did too. I think, you know, Call of Duty started in 2008. Or was it 2003? It's probably 2003. You know, their take on World War II, like most shooting games did back in the day. They took on World War II. You know, I didn't really catch on Call of Duty until about World End or you know, Call of Duty 4, and they zombies and stuff. I looked at that's really, but then at Modern Warfare, which by far, in my opinion, is probably the best Call of Duty they made.
Yeah, man, it really was. It really was.
Warfare 2 had bomb story, it had great weapons, you know, it hooked you in, like it made you want to finish the game and see what happened at the end.
Yeah, man, that's the other thing too, is the story on it was freaking amazing, dude. Like, I love that story from the beginning to the end. Like, it was such a good story, man, that I mean, even to this day, people still reference it all the time,
Oh yeah,
and whatever, in memes, and anything. It was such a good story.
oh yeah. I mean, and it probably had one of the most controversial missions ever. But
Oh, yes. That's,
even then,
uh,
you were like, man, like serious, like you know, this is some serious shit. Um, if you don't know what mission that is, it's the Russian mission where you could just annihilate the airport, only to be killed at
yeah, I
the
think
end.
it was No Russian, right? I think that
Yeah, it
was
was
the name
no
of it.
Russian. Yeah, no Russian.
Yeah.
I mean, you were
Yeah.
killed at the end because you knew about it, but it that got so much attention because this is the hype of like terrorist attacks, and it's like they put this in the game. You're a freaking terrorist, and you just wiped out a whole airport full of people.
Yeah, innocent people, man. I think the only thing about it was that they were careful about was also not putting. I don't think I saw children in
No,
that part of the game.
there were no children. There was like no elderly people. It was just
Yeah, it was all
a lot of young
just
people.
adults.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but um, I to me it was like almost like they put in like hidden messages behind it, like this is how it is, and you know, somebody life who's put in this situation where they gotta do what they gotta do. But I don't know, and I think that came away is
You're in
when
the lead.
Ghost was killed, which of course produced a whole bunch of
Spoilers.
yeah, but it produced a lot of like theories that Ghost really wasn't killed because
Lost
the
the
way he
lead.
was shot, and then they don't think he was on fire.
Gained the
So,
lead.
it to this day still talk about like how Ghost isn't dead and whatever. I'm like, well, he was shot in a
Heavy ammo on the
44
way.
Magnum. I don't know too many people who survived one of those.
Yeah, pretty much, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, so I think that was probably the hypeness of Call of Duty. Then
Heavy
they
ammo
released
available.
Black Ops, another great game. Um, then we saw, what would you say, downward spiral
Yeah, I
for
think.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, after that, man, it was just everything was downward, man. After everything after, the Modern Warfare series and the
Black
Black Ops
Ops,
1.
yeah,
Yeah, it just started, going downhill, man. Like, I don't know what happened. I guess the whole company changed or staff changed something. I mean, it just messed everything up, dude. Like,
yeah,
the story wasn't there, the gameplay was ridiculous. I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, people still play it, but
Wasn't the
it's not the
same.
same. It's
Yeah, man.
yeah, it wasn't as good.
And so
You're
I think
almost
at this
there.
time, with Battlefield started re-emerging itself around this time.
Hmm.
Battlefield 2, I think, was kind of like the hypeness of that one. Battlefield 3, you don't really hear too much about it, but then it came out. Actually, I think 3 and 4 was pretty good, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Hardline.
Well, no, Hardline was shit. Let's be honest, Hardline was shit. Um, I don't care who you are, Hardline was shit. I didn't want to play Cops and Robbers. If I wanted to play Cops and
Single
Robbers, I would
victory
have
doesn't
fucking
win a
played Grand
war,
Theft Auto
but it's a
and their
good start.
DLC,
Good work.
and went from there. So Hardline was shit. But Call of Duty 4 had the hype little intro because it had like the dude who was like on fire, and he like walked in the middle, and then everybody's like, "Oh shit!" I got Battlefield 4, and I enjoyed it because of the environment. You can destroy your environment.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's pretty clutch. A lot of shooter games. I mean, they don't. they don't do that.
No, they don't. And
And that's what makes Battlefield so different. And
yes,
even the gameplay of it is realistic. You know, it's not
yeah,
jumping and flying and well, I mean, there's
you
aircrafts
can,
and stuff like
but
that, but they're
still,
not a
it's like, is how many games do you know that can put 40 people on one map with, tanks, jets, ATVs, whatever, and just let them have at it at each other for like, for a while. And it's, to me that game was so realistic to where, if you take like Call of Duty, you put a sniper, you aim for the head, you're automatically kind of given for the head if you're a good shot. In Battlefield, you couldn't do that. Like you actually had to use a scope and the scope's ability to where I don't know the real term of them, but in the military they use the dots based off of the miles and everything like that. Like you watch some of these gameplay, people aren't even aiming on the body for to get a person, and then they shoot, and you can see the bullet go, and you see them like hit the person, but they're like aiming way off to the right. So
yeah.
Battlefield took Battlefield took almost like the reality of weapons and guns and stuff to where you almost like really had to use them like in real life. Like you had to take your time to really figure out, if I'm this far away, I know I can't just aim at somebody's head and shoot and think I'm gonna get a headshot. Like, I'm gonna have to lead this person, or I gotta do this to get this person. You had to do a lot.
Yeah, man, it takes a lot more skill in this game or in Battlefield than and then your Call of Duty. Like it's not exactly, of course, extremely realistic, but it's pretty close.
Alpha team.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
yeah. Alright, so
Yeah.
the main discussion with this one
Show
is
the Iron Lords what you're made of.
Battlefield 1 is coming out in October, along with Call of
Yep.
Duty. Battlefield has
Mhm.
gone back to the World War II aspect, where Call of Duty is still futuristic. Um,
Mhm.
who's gonna take the win in your opinion? Like who's gonna steal October?
I'm gonna go ahead and go with Battlefield, man. Like as much as I used to love Call of Duty, like they've lost their touch, and Battlefield is still going pretty strong. I mean, they've gotten a lot more attention, a lot more positive reviews. I really think Battlefield will take it this time. I really think
Yeah.
they will.
I agree. I think Battlefield is probably gonna take this by, I wouldn't say a landslide, but it's gonna take it by some pretty big numbers. All because of, the gameplay that I've seen of Battlefield 1 looks freaking amazing. I mean, you can rush people with bayonets on weapons. I mean, you still have the vehicle aspect, driving tanks or whatever, but I mean, there's the giant, I would call it the Hindenburg exactly, but the Hindenburg, and that can be called in by,
Yeah.
the enemy or by yourself, and I mean, if that shot explodes and it destroys buildings underneath it, I mean, to me, Battlefield was always, which kept you on your toes, whereas, Call of Duty, have a camper or two, and that's all he'll do. He'll just camp the whole time, and he will probably kill you every single time you run past him, which I think separates the two. In Battlefield, even as a sniper, dude, you can't camp for long, because somebody's gonna find you.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. I mean, they'll find you, they'll teabag you a few times, and then they'll just stab you in the back.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
And that's what's good about it. That's the good thing about it is that, I mean, even in real life, you're not just gonna camp there and wherever you're sniping from and,
yeah,
expect, to not get shot at or something because,
right,
I mean, that's not how it works. Snipers will wait for the enemy, of course, and then once the enemy is there, they take that one shot and that's it. They move. They don't stay there. Like they get
Yeah.
out of there. You know?
And I think, you know, with another thing that I feel like hinders Call of Duty is when they start adding in, you know, the modifiers and stuff with, like, you know, some of the perks that they do kind of takes it away from it. I mean, yeah, some of them are nice, like dual magazines and, you know, stuff like that, but that's not, you know, that's not a shooting game. It's not about perks. It's about who's gonna outgun who. And that's what I think in Battlefield they focus on. It's like, alright, you know, you have like a specific class or whatever, and, you know, they have specific weapons, but at the end of the day, you know, they don't have like the special perks like, you know, fast mag or, you know, stuff like that. It's just basic who's gonna outgun who.
Yeah, pretty much. Who's gonna shoot faster with their auto shot controller?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, you know, you have that too. So yeah, I think, you know, between the fight for, I guess you would call them war games, Call of Duty is starting to lose out. It's starting to lose its...
Yeah, man. Falling behind.
I would, you know, I wouldn't say falling behind. It's kind of been behind for a while, but, you know, we're not gonna say too much.
Yeah, no, not too bad, but I mean, if it keep going, man, I mean,
Okay.
if it keeps going the way they're going, like they're gonna take a big fall.
But see, my thing is, I feel like it's almost like Call of Duty's running out of ideas. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like they're having to open up like old stuff just to bring in something new. Like this one is literally brought into like, you know, a better systems and stuff like that. But this is literally a remake that they're putting together.
Yeah,
Which
and that's bad, man.
that's
just
really bad because that's the first thing people said when they saw it. They're like, "Oh, this is Infinity War." You know, this is basically Modern Warfare. You just made it a little bit more futuristic. That's about it.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, they added zombies, which I think is getting some positive reviews. It's supposed to be a different take on zombies. I don't know, haven't seen much about it. Don't really care because I don't plan on getting it.
Yep.
But
Neither do I.
yeah, man, Call of Duty's kind of falling. They're knocking their rocks off too much with some of this stuff. But I mean, it's interesting to see where video games have come and where they're going to. But we'll have to September to see how Destiny goes.
Yeah, man, we'll see. I mean, like I said, hopefully, I mean, I have high hope for it. You know, I don't want it to let me down again.
Yeah. No, I don't either, but I am happy that they did bring a new type of playstyle to the Crucible, which is basically kill confirmed. I'm glad that they brought something new to that, and of course, you know, being PlayStation, we already have our PlayStation exclusives, so
Yeah, that's one of the, I guess, good things about it for us PlayStation people. Oh, you know what? I also found out, man, I forgot to bring this up, is that they're gonna stop releasing patches for PS3.
yeah, yo, they're done, and Xbox 360. If you don't
Yeah.
upgrade, you can't get.
Yeah, man, you're getting left behind. So to all the people out there that are still playing PS3, might want to start trading that in or save up some
Yeah,
money and pick up that PS4. I mean, it's worth it. You know,
It is.
it's worth it.
Because you're gonna need it eventually.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and one last comment to that before we end it. I think Bungie is finally doing what so many people who upgraded to the next generation wanted them to do in the jump. I don't think I don't think people who got PS4s or Xbox Ones wanted Destiny to still be connected to uh, PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 because to me it held the game back a lot because what our servers and stuff on the new generation can handle a PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 can't. And because of that, I feel like you had to dummy down the game a lot. And I think that's what caused so many issues with Destiny is that they had to do this. But now, since they're strictly going on next generation, I'm hoping that we get better graphics, better game flow, and just overall better game.
Yeah, I think it'll take a lot more stress off of the servers, and that'll open up a lot more, you know, server space for the next gen. So I think that'll make a big difference. Well, I hope it does. I hope it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I feel like it should. I don't feel like there should and I don't think there'll be anything holding it back but Bungie themselves. That's it. That's the only thing, man. The only limitation Destiny has now is Bungie itself.
Yeah, pretty much. So hopefully they get their shit together and, you know,
Right,
quit with their heads up their asses, and
right.
we'll see.
And actually, listen to what people have to say this time, rather than pretending you're listening and still giving us shit.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. I guess now it's just a matter of time. We'll wait for the DLC to drop, and we'll see what happens.
Yep, and wait that 6-hour download time because everybody in their mama wants to be on it.
Right?
We need to wipe them out.
Oh man.
Oh, fuck. Alright, I'm gonna end this now so I can relax.